Welcome to Being at Home with George. And I'd like to start off as we usually do and talk about this idea of embracing whatever comes up and at the same time generating hope. And it turns out that today is Veterans Day. And as you might recall, Veterans Day is a day to express gratitude to American service members, past and present, who served in both war and peace. And the interesting thing about Veterans Day, it came about as Armistice Day back in 1918, and it was a celebration of the end of hostilities. And so I'd like to still look at Veterans Day as an opportunity to pay gratitude, obviously, to the service members, but just to pay gratitude to everyone and everything. And this idea of ending hostilities, both foreign and domestic, both internally, externally, both towards self and others, I like to look at them as this celebration of the American servicemen who allowed us the freedom to do so, to actually have freedom, to actually have gratitude, to pay gratitude to folks that have given us that opportunity. But at the same time, we can spread that to all of our members of our family, of our community, of our country, actually of the planet, if you will. So I like to think of gratitude as an attitude that gives us latitude. And what do I mean by that? I mean, it lifts us up. It gives us a focus. It puts us in growth mode or in love or in compassion, gives us access to those aspects of experience where we can bring love, joy, compassion, and whatnot. And it's interesting because I like to reflect on, especially after having a toothache, to reflect on what's good and have gratitude for the non-toothache, if you will. And so you don't appreciate the non-toothache until you have a toothache. And it's the same thing as, in this case, the non-war, which is another way of saying peace. And so using this time as an opportunity to not just share gratitude to our service members, but also that be in this attitude of gratitude and then reflect on what's working and how we can sustain that and actually perfect that idea of how do we stay in this case of being in growth mode, love mode, being open to seeing things in full and fresh ways. And so this idea, why is it important? Because it actually enhances our ability to see clearly, but also to live with a full heart, with an open heart, open mind. And how do you do it? You do it by just what I talked about. It's just taking time each day to reflect on. And there's a practice that I saw from the happiness research habits where Shawn Achor talks about, think of 3 new things each day to be grateful for. It generates happiness. And you do that by actually doing that, focusing on what's working and being grateful that we're able to experience it. And so for me, it's interesting because when I used to work at the medical center at UMass Medical Center years ago, with my friend Jon Kabat-Zinn, he used to say all the time, as long as you're breathing is more right with you than what's wrong with you. And I believe that, and I can tell you from my experience, there's been many different challenges that I've had. Well, all I could do is just breathe in and breathe out and know that as long as I breathe out and breathe in again, I'm probably okay. So I don't want to say too much about this week's At Home with George, but just this simple idea of ending hostility, especially internally and externally, foreign, domestic, self and other, and actually making the shift, like we talk about embracing everything, but generating our hope by focusing on what we want, what's right, what's good, what brings joy, and what we have in common. And so if we could do that on this day, that would be awesome, because there are a lot of us that are struggling. We have family members that maybe aren't doing so well, or maybe we're not doing well ourselves, or we had a setback, or just this whole COVID thing is making some of us very exhausted and tired. And we need to focus on what opportunities are available to us. And if we can make the shift from what we don't want to what we want, and to really focus on generating, 3 new things each day to be grateful for, we can write them down. And that will generate some happiness. And with the happiness, we're able to tolerate more anxiety and depression and fear. And so happy Veterans Day, and don't forget to express gratitude not only to our service members, to self, other, to all beings.